What's up, guys? Zach Cox here, in again for Doug Kide for this week's Patriots video mailbag. Let's dive right into the questions. First one comes from Liam. He wants to know, besides the Broncos, who else might the Patriots be competing with to get that fourth quarterback in this year's draft? Washington or Bears possibly move up? I'd say the Broncos are definitely in the mix for a quarterback. They currently have the 9th overall pick in this year's draft. I think the Falcons at number 4, there's been a lot of speculation that they might trade that pick. According to reports from Adam Schefter, they are open to trading that pick. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that they won't draft a quarterback. I wouldn't be stunned if they did end up picking Justin Fields or Trey Lance at that spot, even though Matt Ryan's contract situation with all the dead money he has, something like $40 million in dead money in 2022, I think that makes it less likely that they will draft a quarterback, but I do think that they still theoretically could, and it wouldn't be the most surprising thing in the world. I think the trade for Sam Darnold probably took the Panthers out of the quarterback mix in this first round, but if someone slides to them at number 8, maybe they still do pull the trigger on that. And then you mentioned two of the teams that are currently lower down in the first round. Washington at number 19, the Bears are at number 21. Two others a little bit lower even. Pittsburgh Steelers number 24, and New Orleans Saints down at 28. All 4 of those teams currently have needs at quarterback, and I would not be surprised if any of them select a quarterback in the first round if one gets into their range. I have a hard time seeing any of those teams trading all the way up into the top 5 for a quarterback, but maybe if one slides down toward the 10 early teens range, then maybe one of those clubs could pull the trigger on a trade up. We have seen some aggressive moves up the board for quarterbacks in recent years. Moral of the story there, long story short, I would be a little bit surprised if any of the top 5 quarterbacks is available for the Patriots at number 15, where they're currently set to pick. So I do think landing any one of those guys will require a trade up. Next, we'll go to a question from Skipper. Skipper wants to know, how do you see the wide receiver depth chart shaking out for the next season? Where could a rookie wide receiver fit into the rotation? I think the second part of that depends on how highly drafted that rookie is, but I definitely think the Patriots should use a draft pick on a wide receiver this year, just with the current makeup of that receiving core. Obviously, they did go out and got Nelson Agholor and Kendrick Bourne in free agency, and I think with how it's currently constructed, I think you see Agholor as that number 1, and then Bourne and Jacoby Myers as a 2-3, one of them over the other. I don't think it's a guarantee that Bourne will be over Myers in that hierarchy right now, just based on the impressive season that Myers had in 2020. But then if you go further down beyond that, there's really not a lot of certainty. There's new reports coming out Thursday that the Patriots that is doubtful that Julian Edelman will be able to play a full season in 2021. At this point, I would be pretty surprised if he's on the active roster in week 1. And then N'Keal Harry is a trade candidate. He's been mentioned in trade rumors for a couple of months now. So I think there's a pretty good chance that he could be moved either before or during the draft or at some point this summer. So there's definitely a void in this receiving core, even after what the Patriots did in free agency. And I definitely think there's a path for a rookie wide receiver to see some significant playing time this season. We will close out with one from Tim. Tim wants to know, should the Patriots consider Kellen Mond? Kellen Mond, quarterback from Texas A&M. I'd say he's probably the best fit of the rest in this draft, as in the best option outside of those top 5 quarterbacks. If the Patriots choose not to trade up for one of those top 5 and aren't able to land a quarterback in the first round, I do think Mond would be an intriguing guy to pick up on day 2, either in the second or the third round. He's a ton of college experience. He was a 4-year starter in the SEC. If you look at his college stats as a whole, his completion percentage is a little bit lower than what the Patriots typically look for in that position, but he really improved that as a senior, completed 63% of his passes last year, also dropped his interception total in his final college season, and he brings a kind of dual threat aspect, some mobility that is increasingly important in the modern NFL. I think if the Patriots draft any of the quarterbacks outside of that top 5, I think it would be a little bit surprising if any of those guys see start games or see significant playing time as a rookie. But in terms of developmental guys and future prospects, I think Mond probably is the best bet after day one for the Patriots. And that will do it for this week's video mailbag. Thank you to everybody who sent in their questions. Be sure to read my written Patriots mailbag, which will be published Friday morning on NESN.com.